What up, friends? We are back talking more golf at oddschecker.com/US, the Open Championship. We weren't going to miss all of major season. And of course, I brought my friend Andy Lack to break it down for us. Andy, we missed a lot, but we weren't going to miss the end of major championship season and your favorite tournament of the year.
Yeah, it's great to be back. I love the Open Championship. Probably my favorite major, weather permitting, of course. That's the one caveat that you have to throw out with links golf. But I love Hoylake. And we've had, there was this prolonged absence where we didn't go there for 50 years. And then we came back in 2006 and we got my two favorite golfers ever winning. So hopefully we continue the trend of strong, historic, great wins. And we'll dive into the odds board and break all of that down for you in just a minute as well.
Yeah, the top of the odds board, the top of the world rankings has been rewarded here. Let's see if that trend continues. Before we do, exciting times, big giveaway. Odds Checker and Golf Monthly are giving away $10,000 for the Open Championship to be in with a chance at taking it home. Predict the top 5 at the Open Championship in order and win the grand prize. Make sure you follow the link in the description to enter. That link below in the description of the video. Smash it, enter the contest. I'll remind you again on the way out as well with some exciting rules, for the tiebreaker purposes of such a big giveaway. But smash the like button and hit that link in the video. Takes you to enter the contest. Make sure don't miss your chance at the big grand prize offered by Odds Checker and Golf Monthly. We'll waste no more time. It is the Open Championship. We are here. Royal Liverpool, top of the board. Rory McIlroy, after that big Scottish Open win, shows up at plus 750. Scotty Scheffler plus 800. John Rahm plus 1300 is what that grid is showing us. But before you tell me if you've done anything at the very top, Andy, take us into Hoylake.
Yeah. So Hoylake, I'll start by saying this. It's going to be a very different Open Championship than we got at St. Andrews last year in terms of the roadmap to success, right? Like Hoylake is a golf course where big misses that you could have gotten away with at St. Andrews last year are going to be really penalized in not just like you're hacking out a fescue. Internal out of bounds comes into play, and it's dangerously close to the fairway on 6 different holes, right? So this is going to be an Open Championship that is characterized a lot by guys who can avoid the landmines on this course, keep the ball in play, make sound decisions off the tee. You're probably going to hear this 100 times throughout the week, but Tiger won this Open in 2006 by not even using driver. He used it once the entire tournament, hit 2-iron on every single hole, hit 86% of his fairways, and just surgically, beat this place to death with this 2-iron fairways and greens. And I think that's the roadmap this year. I mean, the course has gotten harder in the sense that the par was changed from a 72 to a par 71. So that's going to help par a lot. They've made the course a little bit longer as well. They've added yardage to a bunch of holes. There's a new 17th hole, which you're going to hear a lot about, which is this kind of short tabletop infinity green. Like that's going to be a really fun par 3 coming down the stretch. But you can't give an Open breakdown without at least touching on the weather. And what I'm seeing so far, Geoff, is not weather conditions that are going to produce carnage. So if you're asking me the type of Open that we're going to see this year, the 12 to 14 under range sounds about right for me. And I do think the main thing at this golf course is keeping the ball in play off the tee and staying out of the trouble.
So if we don't seem to be getting that, dramatic weather, or I would argue, wave integrity, because a lot of people for an Open Championship, they don't even want to make their bets until they're like as comfortable in the weather situation as possible. There's enough you need to go your way to hit an outright winner, get the biggest number at Odds Checker, and you want to make sure you are on the right side of the draw. If that doesn't feel like it's, nearly as big of a variable as it normally is here, Andy, these guys, I would suspect that they might be able to go quite low. The question is, does the RNA fight back against that. Historically, fans of the Open Championship, they just acknowledge the weather is the weather. If we don't get the win, then guys are going to go low. We are dependent on it. The USGA, they create such a narrow runway for themselves to make fans and players happy, and have created this public image of needing to be diabolical. And if it's not, everyone's angry, and making players and fans happy seems to be nearly impossible. Will the RNA try to fight no weather, or will they just let it happen, as they historically have been noted to do?
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I've thought about this a lot and talked about this on some of my podcasts this week already. The RNA, you're right, is a far less reactive body than the USGA, right? So like the USGA tends to fall into this issue where they will overcorrect their mistakes and criticisms, where the RNA kind of realizes that this is a tournament that can be won at 18 under par, and it's a tournament that can be won at 2 under par. And that doesn't really change the integrity of the Open, whether the tournament's won at 18 under par or the tournament's won at 2 under par. Whereas the USGA is out here selling hats that say grit in block letters and the toughest test in golf. So you can't really blame the fans for getting angry when you market your tournament as the toughest test in golf and then somebody wins at 9-10 under, right? So to me, I don't think that the RNA is half as concerned with what the winning score is compared to a body like the USGA. With that being said, we have had 2 easier Opens over the past 2 years at St. George's and St. Andrews. Liverpool is objectively a harder course than St. Andrews, and the par was changed from 17 under from 72 to 71. So even if we just, say, Geoff, that we get conditions like the Rory McIlroy year, which was a relatively soft golf course with not a ton of wind, and you just change the par from 72 to 71, then that tournament is won at 13 under par, right? And I think since then, the golf course has gotten harder, and we might even get more wind than we saw the Rory year. So to me, I think that it's a pretty safe bet based on the test that Liverpool is now with the changes, that even if we don't see crazy weather conditions, keep in mind with Liverpool too, there are no sand dunes on this golf course. So this golf course is completely exposed to the wind. There's no defenses. So a 15-mile-per-hour wind at Liverpool is a 15-mile-per-hour wind. There's no trees. There's no sand dunes blocking. There's no cover on this entire course. So I think at bare minimum, we're not going to see 17 or 18 under. I feel more comfortable in the 12 to 14 zone.
Okay. And you can't blame Andy and I. We're going to get together. The RNA is putting on the event of the year. We're going to award a champion golfer of the year. Me and Andy are going to talk a little like golf macro sense. Back to the board. We said it. Rory plus 750. Scotty showing up at 8-1 over at BetMGM. I know some places offering some Scotty boosts up to 850. Rom 13, Cameron Smith 16. 4 golfers under 20-1 on this grid here, Andy. For me, if I was making a move, if I had the courage to do it, I have not bet Scotty Scheffler all year. I probably haven't bet him since he caught fire last year because the number got caught. But it'd be like walking by that roulette table in Vegas and like seeing like 25 black in a row, just being like, no, red, I'm stepping up, vibe change. That would be the move. It would probably cost most of the clip. Staring at it, haven't done it, but no one else even comes close to getting my money.
I have not bet Scotty Scheffler since he won the Phoenix Open, not in 2023, but in 2022. I hit Scotty Scheffler's first win and have not been a part of any of the ones since. I'm doing it this week. Okay. I got a 9. I like an 8 less, but as soon as I saw, because I genuinely think it's a coin flip right now between Scotty and Rory at the top. I think one of those 2 players are going to win. I did not understand why on Sunday Rory was 7 and Scotty was 9. If I was making the odds, I would have reversed it. And even if Rory won the Scottish Open, which he did, I would have said, okay, maybe they should both be 8. But if you're telling me that Scotty is available at 9, which he was yesterday, and I still prefer a Scotty 8 to a Rory 7 or a Rory plus 650. I mean, what he is doing right now, if he does not win a major this year, it almost will feel like a crime. I mean, this is historic, doesn't really cut it with what Scotty's doing from a ball striking standpoint. I don't think we're ever going to see this again from a tee to green standpoint. I mean, we're talking stuff that, I hate doing the Tiger thing because I don't think that's fair to either of them. But objectively, this is stuff that Tiger's just never done in the strokes gained era, or anyone. So to me, probably if golf is as cruel of a sport as we know it to be, the most likely outcome for this historic Scotty season is that he probably finishes top 5 in the rest of the tournaments he plays this year, and then wins the FedEx Cup, which doesn't exist past this year. But I'm a bit of a dreamer. I'm a romantic at heart, and I believe that Scotty should be and will be rewarded for one of the greatest runs of golf that we have ever seen in the history of the game with the final major of the year. It feels to me the most fitting way to end this major season. And I say that as a huge Rory fan.
Yeah, and you don't bet into narrative or bullshit or walking by a casino table where it's black. Like, I am more of like a narrative better than you. I mean, we'll see. I've got a couple bets in the chamber already. I don't know if it'll allow me to do this, but you might have talked me into it. My partner in crime, Pat Mayo, has already bet his Scotty Scheffler. So you would now be the second person on my content train who is there, as many others I respect. Farther down the board, Brooks Koepka, 22-1, Victor Hovland, 22-1, Ricky Fowler, 25, Tommy Fleetwood, 25, Hatton, 25, Xander, 25. The 20s are crowded. Cantley, who was north of 30 last night, is now 28 this morning over at Bet365. So that's a crowded 20s. I will just say I have a future on Victor Hovland. It was 29 and a 31. I bet him at every major this year. So we're going to take that to the finish line. Tommy Fleetwood, a player I adore. And when I would make content over the years for Odds Checker, Andy, I would let the friends behind the scenes know, I'm picking Fleetwood. Don't make him like the image you use for the content piece, because I don't need the, like, if people are going to ridicule me, let them come into the content. Don't just like give them the free pass to see it. I have not bet him this week. I've been scoping it since Christmas. It never got over 35. I love the guy. He's in form. Lift that jug. Do it without me. Any Englishman with a pulse seems to have their line slashed bigly here. And an Englishman hasn't won since Faldo, but maybe we can break that this week. Anything in these 20s get you going one bit?
Yes. I mean, I'm not going there because of my exposure to Scotty. It's one guy for me at 9, one guy at 55, and one guy at 150. I mean, that's kind of the price you pay when you bet a guy at 9-1 for the way that I structure my betting cards. But if I wasn't on Scotty, I would tell you that the best bet to make in the 20s is the 28 on Cantlay. I mean, this is a guy that was 14-1 at the last 2 majors. What changed? I mean, he's still playing great golf. You can throw away the miscut at the Scottish Open. He had an uncharacteristically poor putting performance. And the major thing with Cantlay has been overblown, in my opinion. I mean, this is a guy who's finished top 15 in 6 of his last 8 majors. The difference between contending and these 12th place finishes that Cantlay keeps putting together at majors, it's really small, minor details, right? Like, this is a guy who, if you do not believe that Cantlay is going to win a major in the near future and has what it takes to contend in majors, then you haven't been watching golf. So I think from a pure number perspective, Cantlay is the best bet at 28. And I agree with you. I like Ricky and Fleetwood a lot, but those are 30-1 guys for me still in this tournament. And I'm going to happily let them beat me at 22. I will say this, 22 on Brooks ain't bad. Insane. Like, I feel like we should mention that.
Yeah. I wasn't going to let us leave the region without it. I will have to say, full disclosure, I'm sure a few people saw them on Sunday night. I caught as big Cantley number as I possibly could. I'm in over 30-1 on Patrick Cantley, for all the reasons you kind of said. I'd always chirp, why is he 16? Well, now it's like, why was he 33? Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. As for Brooks, I don't think anything we get here is fair often. I would have to argue the 22-1s available on Brooks Koepka to win a major feel as fair as any bet you could possibly make. And when he wins, we will feel so stupid because it literally will be like, it's an easy game. It's an easy game. The guy, his scoring average in majors, like what the wins, even when he doesn't win, how often he's been right there. Again, it's so hard to get what I would consider fair numbers when we have fun betting responsibly, doing this outright betting game, getting the best numbers on the grid. That Koepka 22 is fair. I'm not betting it though, because I'm an idiot sometimes.
And, the other one, just last one I got to ask before we leave the range, on a tight positional golf course that is somewhat very similar to, the driving accuracy, middle iron play is the name of the game. I was going through and thinking about how stupid the 40s on Colin Morikawa was for that Open at St. George's on a golf course like this. I do think it's also in play that we all look pretty stupid balking on 30 plus at Morikawa.
Yeah, we have now crossed into the 30s. There are 35s that got dropped to 30. I see DraftKings has gone back to 35 on Colin Morikawa, 33-1 on Shane Lowry. Dustin Johnson seen as high as 40 over at Bet Phillip Rivers. So there are some intriguing options. Morikawa does seem like an ideal course fit, Andy. As we get here, anything essentially in front of 50. Matt Fitzpatrick can be an off the tee cheat code, right? And just plot around here beautifully. Jordan Spieth, no one will be shocked if you're betting the 30s. He's alive, 6-1 come the weekend. So who other than Morikawa out in front of 50-1 do you like? And then we'll bang out some long shots.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing Spieth as high as 35. He's not playing great golf right now. I have concerns about his recent form, miscut at Scottish, miscut at the US Open. Both of those golf courses were actually courses that I kind of liked for Jordan Spieth. But if you just want to go open pedigree, creativity, imagination, he won an Open at Birkdale, like 15 miles up the coast, right? I think that 35 is a very fair price on him. But the guys that I'm looking at, Geoff, are the guys, closer to those 60s and 70s. And Justin Rose is a name, but then you start getting some pretty decent numbers on Finau might be dead, but is 60-1 on him a guy that was like 10-1 at, other golf tournaments this year, 60 at a major. For a guy with a really open track record, I think that really solid open track record. I think there are some appealing fair numbers in, once you cross 50.
Yeah, even Tom Kim probably going to be popular after a strong showing at the Scottish. Shorter course in the fairway could work perfectly for him. I sort of took a shot at Hatton and Fleetwood, guys I absolutely adore and would melt if they won, even if I melt in a good way, even without money on them. How the books seem to be slashing English guys with a pulse here, although none of them have won since Faldo. Justin Rose seems as live in this range as anybody else. I love Finau. Can be a slut for him in major championship money pit. Maybe I would get there. I love the big numbers. It wouldn't be hard to find it on my card unless I do make like a big move to the top. But yeah, I hear it would be closer to the Justin Rose portion of this, and even the bigger Dustin Johnson numbers still have my attention.
I'm with you on Rose. That's my second bet. I bet him at 55. I thought that was a great number. I'm even seeing 60s available. So, those 60s are still around. I think that's a wonderful bet. I like him all the way down to 50, 45. Um, I think Justin Thomas 70. I think I'm not going there, but I think he's probably, if I had to make a guess, I think he will probably make some form of statement before the Ryder Cup
When's the
to
last
try and
player to
solidify
win?
his
When's the
pulse.
last player to win a major without form? I don't really know the answer, but I don't bet on players
Probably,
trying to.
probably Phil at
See, here's
Kiowa.
the thing with the Phil, though. Phil had won a Champions Tour event, which you can quantify how you want, and then was a
Yeah.
first round leader at the Wells Fargo in the start before. So,
Yeah.
sometimes I chirp Martin Keimer, but then Mayo reminds me that he won the Players 4 or 5 weeks before. We've kind of gone back to Stuart Sink. So if there is, I guess, a course or an event that it could happen at, maybe it is an Open Championship. That was a lot of words for me to say. I don't. I'm just not betting a guy in form. Although it's a
Yeah.
number so big, you'll be quite mad to miss. So here we are. Justin Thomas is a long shot, Andy. I mean, let's get some long shots. Let's get a long shots. We'll remind people how to win $10,000 from Odds Checker and Golf Monthly, and then we'll go home with our open bets.
Yeah. I mean, the only other guy that I'll throw out there that I have bet is Siwoo Kim. I bet Siwoo at 150 to 1. There's this strong correlation with the Players Championship and this golf course. And it's not a coincidence to me. I think it really makes sense because the character at Royal Liverpool and the character at TPC Sawgrass is all about avoiding hazards. Now, the hazards are different at Liverpool than they are on a Florida Bermuda golf course, but let's run through the top 5 at Liverpool in 2014. Rory McIlroy, he won the Players. Ricky Fowler, he won the Players. Sergio Garcia, he won the Players. Adam Scott, he won the Players. Tiger Woods in 2006, he won the Players. So, Siwoo Kim, he won the Players. So if there's ever a guy that's like on the Siwoo tier of the odds board, that it's just like this guy can get crazy for 1 week and win the biggest tournament in golf. He's done that when he was a worse player. So, if there's one bet to make above 100, to me, it's unequivocally Siwoo Kim. So he will get $20 from me. And I can't recommend the bet highly enough.
I really do. I really do like that. And I'm a believer his white hot ceiling, if he finds it, he could absolutely win this event. As I often do, get invested in Corey Connors. That would have been my long shot. He was 100 to 1. He got touted by someone quite popular in the golf space on Twitter. So he has crashed, and a popular Corey Connors will not end well for anybody. And the hundreds didn't last long enough for me to pick off placing bets related to that 100. So that was a bit of a kick in the groin for me. If shit gets silly this week, excuse my language. Oops. Patrick Reed could be a flyer, but I don't know. I'm not too deep into the long shots. The enormous Sung J M numbers caught my eye. He can
Hideki too. Hideki's 100.
100. That seems insane.
That's
If I
nuts.
got money left to keep playing around. So for me, Andy, the bets I have made, I've bet Victor Hovland. I have bet Patrick Cantley. I don't know if that really could let me go to the very top, but I'm a lot. Overexposing myself is a bit of a fetish for major championships, so I could find it, but I probably see myself picking off more guys in that like 30 to 40 to 1 range that I simply can't resist.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as much as we like to talk about the Open Championship, of the major of the Todd Hamiltons and the Ben Curtises and the Stuart Sinks, the reality of the situation is that we haven't had a winner outside of the top 40 in the world in the last decade. And 6 of the last 10 winners of the Open have been in the world top 10. So, at the end of the day, it's still major championship golf. The cream will rise to the top. And that's why I'm putting all my chips in the Scotty Scheffler basket essentially this week.
Yeah, I love your little basket of Scheffler. You found Rosie right in that mid range, and obviously you can't resist throwing a couple bombs. Siwoo Kim being your bomb of choice I really like that card construction. And I really do expect Scotty Scheffler to win.
Yeah.
So that's, and at the Masters, I posted my ticket. I've listed 5 guys. I bet them. And at the bottom, I wrote, really think John Rahm's just going to win the tournament. So it is what it is, but don't miss your chance to win $10,000 from Odds Checker and Golf Monthly for the Open Championship to be in with a chance of taking it home. Predict the top 5 at the Open Championship in order to win the grand prize. Make sure you follow the link in the description of this video to enter. Reminder, predict the top 5 finishers in the golf tournament in order. If multiple entrants predict the top 5 in order, the prize pot is split between them. If golfers finish tied, the order will be determined on countback, which means the player with the best back 9 score in the last round. If still tied, the final 6 holes will be used. If still tied, the final 3 holes will be used. That's really wordy, but use that link hit the link in this video, get into the contest for Andy, myself. Let's enjoy a great Open Championship, everybody. All the best. We out. We'll see you next week, I believe, at the 3M.